Loading program, Trekommendations.
Hello and welcome to Trekommendations, a Star Trek podcast that brings on some incredible guests to highlight wonderful things in the greater Star Trek universe. And joining me today, we have a real power couple. She is a stand-up comedian, a writer, an actor, a producer, and yet still finds time to be a Trekkie. And he is a best-selling author, a host on the ABC, a podcaster, and if you want some Trek credentials, he might have interviewed some recognizable names such as Nana Visitor, Armin Shimmerman, Gates McFadden, and most recently Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner. And yet he has lowered himself to come on my show. All the way from Australia is the fabulous duo of Paul Verhoeven and Tegan Higginbotham.
Hello.
I got through your names, right? That was close enough.
Yeah. They were great.
Yeah. Look, you have to wade through them knee deep. You did very well.
Yeah. I suppose it's one of those things like say it with confidence. It's a bit like when you're trying to say any kind of new character in Star Trek's name and you're like, I'm not quite sure I've got it, but I think if I say it with confidence, people will get on board.
Yeah.
If it helps, I don't know. I mean, this might be a really sacrilegious thing to bring to this show, but I was named after a Doctor Who character. So if you know Doctor Who lore, Tegan Higginbotham, that's this guy. Dad had a crush on her.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
I met someone. I was at a convention last weekend, and I met a couple there. She was dressed as Kira Nerys. Like, okay, nice.
Cool.
So, and I met their little daughter, Esri, and I was like,
Oh, that's nice.
I feel like I've heard this name before. So yeah,
That's nice.
and actually, my mum never would have been able to name any of the children with Star Trek names, but she did manage to get the dogs to have Star Trek names. So when I was growing up, we had Dax and we had Shelby, and they were
That's amazing.
There you go.
That's amazing. My best mate Josh, he actually co-wrote William Shatner's memoir about him going to space, and he never told William this, but he named his dog Miles after Miles O'Brien. The single most put upon character in Star Trek history. That guy has been through it. So you've joined a proud pantheon of Trek dogs. That's excellent.
Yeah. I don't have a dog, so now I have to go and get a dog just so I can.
Yep.
I already know what my dog name would be, though. If we're going from the Star Trek, it would be Tiberius.
Oh, that's great.
Wouldn't that be great, though?
It's really great. Yeah,
That would be. Because it can't be too on the nose. Too on the nose. I was going to say, but it just feels wrong. Okay, well, it's clear that you're both big fans of Star Trek. That's already evident, and yet we must calibrate you.
Calibrating.
I have some calibration questions for you. The first one, and I'm so interested to see the answers with you as a team as well, because I imagine they'll be different. So I'm going to start with, the classic. What's your favorite Star Trek show?
Go on. Oh, you go. It's hard for me because I love the original series, but I will go Next Gen. I've seen more Next Gen. That's probably, I don't know if that's the ship. I don't know if I'd serve under Picard or Kirk. I don't know. I'm going to go Next Gen. I'll just put it out there. Paul?
Yeah, it's Deep Space Nine. It's Deep Space. Like, I love Next Gen. I love all Trek. I love most Trek, but it's DS9. I mean, DS9's weird because I want to be on the promenade. I want to be in Quark's bar, but also the Defiant. Tough little ship. So it's DS9.
Yeah, that's a nice little insurrection quote we got there. No, was that first one? Yeah. Okay, I'm right there with you both, though. I understand. Although, Tegan, I'm interested that you're saying you're a big TOS fan as well, because I feel that is the series now that gets overlooked.
And that's funny to me that people. I mean, it's just so enjoyable. It's slow. It's a different way of watching television. There are scenes where you're like, oh, that would just not get over the line these days. There would have been a cut there. We need to push into story here. But it's so camp and it's so brilliant. I absolutely adore it.
I think I had to go back for it. I think when I was watching TNG and DS9 and Voyager, it was too of its time, like the visuals, and I think I was too young to look past that. And now in my later years, I can look back and go, oh, actually, there's some really compelling character stuff here. And the more and more I feel like I need to defend Kirk.
Yeah.
Because he's got this reputation that I don't think is justified, at least not the TV series version of Kirk.
Interesting. Can I ask, because I'm an interesting fan in that I like what I like and I like it in my own little bubble, and I very rarely actually connect with fan communities. What is the reputation about Kirk?
I think it's that he's just like a womanizer, that he's just out there, every episode is him going down to a planet and seducing another alien, and it's like, that's not the case, actually.
Yeah, it's not actually. I mean, I think that is certainly something that's there, but yeah, I think that he's a little bit brash and he's more of a swashbuckling sort of captain, and he's very different. I mean, that was there, but then also with regards to the seducing, I mean, I think they broke the television because, and this shows the time, in an episode, Captain Kirk kissed Uhura, and that was the first time that there had ever been broadcast a white man kissing a Black American woman on television in America. And it broke, I was going to say it broke the internet. Yeah. Didn't do that, but it broke television. So, yes, he did have that flirtatious side, but there was still something brilliant about what they were doing.
Yeah, but also, I mean, beyond the amazing kind of political ramifications of the interracial kiss, and, that's fantastic. I mean, in Unification, parts 1 and 2, where Picard goes to Romulus and Spock reappears and he's secretly trying to foment rebellion, he refers to Kirk as undertaking what he calls cowboy diplomacy.
What a great way of putting it.
I think that sums him up very neatly, especially when you get to the films, like The Undiscovered Country. He is a diplomat, but he punches his way through problems. But Kirk is a surprisingly nuanced guy. Yeah. His depiction in Strange New Worlds adds a few layers, but he's always been really a lot more than just, kissing green women to get what he wants. I think that's sort of more the SNL version of Kirk. Yeah. The real Kirk's, a complex guy.
And it's the bravery and the honor that really define him that I connect with so strongly.
Agreed.
Yeah. I was speaking with, so it won't have released yet, but it's the episode that comes out before this one, and now I cannot remember if we spoke about this on pod or before, but there was this idea that a lot of people think about Kirk as like movie Kirk and not TOS Kirk. And if you did the same thing with Jean-Luc Picard, you think about movie Picard, where he's basically John McClane, compared to TNG Picard, where he's a Shakespearean kind of diplomat talking everything through. So maybe people are trapped a little bit in that bubble. That could be it. So they tend to they picture Kirk in the in the yellow, but they actually think about the kind of movie version. That's what we kind of landed on, and I think it was very clever. Actually, I was like, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. It wasn't me. It was Mike. He's more intelligent than me. Anyway. Moving on swiftly, your top 3 alien species in Star Trek.
Oh, what a great question. Okay.
And I know you got to enjoy talking about Ferengi a lot recently. That was obviously...
Enjoy is an interesting word. I mean, the Ferengi, I just love that the Ferengi were introduced to be this sort of... They were meant to be like the Borg. They were meant to have that level of threat. And that just did not.
Oh, with the like weird lightning laser whip things, and then they end up. I mean, Ferengi are pretty much the top of my list.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are, because Tegan's not seen DS9.
I've not seen all of DS9.
You've seen like a season or two, but basically the Ferengi become, thanks to Quark, kind of the most, I think, interesting species. Which is why I find the premise of observing the novelty of the Ferengi an odd one, because when you take characters like Nog and Ram, who are sort of Ferengi outsiders, who are forced to confront how weird and outdated the Ferengi are, Ram unionizing the staff of Quark's bar is just such an amazing plot line. I find the Ferengi absolutely fascinating and compelling, and I think Quark and Odo's relationship only works because Quark is such a repellent Ferengi. I think his interactions with the Klingon Empire, because he becomes... I just love the Ferengi so much.
Okay, so if we're doing 3 between us, I will let Ferengi be on the list, but very reluctantly.
Okay, sure.
But then I'm gonna be super basic here. Klingons.
Absolutely.
I just love Klingons. I love the rawness of their, of who they are. You talk about a film like Undiscovered Country, and the Klingons are just brilliant. The twins in of course
the
Generations.
Yeah.
I love sorry, not twin sisters. I love them so much. And Worf, I mean, he'd have to be one of my favorite characters.
Worf's amazing. Martok is amazing. The entire civil war that takes place in DS9 is amazing. The Klingon are just so great, and there's that wonderful quote from Ezri Dax where she basically sits down with Worf in the bar and says, "The Klingons have run their course. You are an antiquated race, and I love you, Worf, but the Klingons need to die out. Like they've had their time. They are a warlike species that aren't changing, and as a result, history is going to erase them. They are this wonderful, antiquated, just pig-headed race, and I love them."
But I like that, and it was such beautiful writing that you have that sort of a race in there in the same series where there are Vulcans, and you can sort of, which is the more accurate representation of who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
And for me, I find that, I'm a very hot-headed sort of person, so I probably connect with that rage of the Klingons.
Who'd be more fun to hang out with? It's the Klingons,
it's absolutely the Klingons.
Yeah, I've now remembered a quote from that episode you were on of Mission Zach, where you talked about where is their honor, like in life, calling somebody out for not having honor because you've been so indoctrinated by the Klingons. Wow.
Just believe that we should act in life with honor and,
Yeah, I just finished.
There's a sense of duty.
I just finished. I listened to them as audiobooks, but there's a series of 3 books called Prey, Star Trek Prey, and it's an incredible story. There's so many twists and turns, but it's all centered around the Klingons and this whole group that were, what's the word? I've forgotten now. But like what happened to Worf, they've basically been stripped of their name and their honor, and for 7 generations. And so there's this whole colony basically of these, these Klingons that are then tricked into following someone. And it's just, but it's really interesting, and you get a lot of Worf in it, and it stretches from TOS to post TNG. So when Worf is the first officer on the Enterprise under Picard and stuff, and Ezra turns up at one point, and the Titan's there, and Admiral Riker. Fascinating book, but so much Klingon stuff in there. Really good.
Awesome.
But I still need one more race from you. So we've got Klingons, we've got Ferengi.
Go on, pitch one at me. And
I think it's the Borg.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I love the Borg.
Obviously,
they terrify me, but I think that it is in that nature that I think they're a brilliant creation.
It's got to be the Borg, partly because they are monsters. They are movie monsters. And one of the best things you can do with a monster is have the one good one. I mean, that's one of my favorite tropes, is to reform the bad guy. Worf was the one good Klingon for a long time. They tried to reform the Borg. They did Hugh truly dirty in Picard season 1. But for a while there, I think the Borg were heading in the same direction. The idea of, becoming part of a collective. Upon reflection, it does seem like a really clumsy critique of, communist ideology or something like that, or, being indoctrinated into a cult. But they are space zombies. They are, at their core.
I mean, whether it started as something like that now, just the way that it hits with the way that we are interfacing with technology. I mean, I actually think that the more we connect with technology, the more divided we are, which is the antithesis of what the Borg is, that technology is the uniting factor. But I still think the way we connect with technology and are allowing our humanity to be subsumed by it, I think that now the Borg is just as relevant a villain.
Are you saying Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg are kind of the Borg queens?
I'm absolutely saying that.
Okay, great.
Well, it's always good to get a clip in early, so that's nice to know that we've got that in the can already. So that's really good. Nice. Great choices. I love all of those choices. Yeah. And the Borg are, when they first showed up, they were, especially because I was younger back then as well, but they were terrifying. They look scary, but don't worry, we just shoot them with phasers, right? Oh wait, no,
wait.
You can't. Oh.
And speaking of First Contact, I was lucky enough through your friend Josh to read an earlier draft of the script, and it is amazing. It is amazing, but it is too scary.
It's horror.
I mean, the very nature of this villain is that very easily it can step into territory which is like, oh, this is just no longer appropriate for the family. I read the script, I loved it, but you just couldn't have pushed it out to a Star Trek audience.
Well, no, the first Star Trek thing I saw was First Contact, and the first thing I saw was Picard waking up from that nightmare, and then he goes in, and you get the "to hell with orders" scene, and everything you need to encapsulate about Star Trek and why it's scary and why it's good is kind of in the opening 10 minutes of that film. I think
that was your first. That was your wow. Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Isn't it wild?
I was a little kid, yeah. So then you kind of go backwards, but when you see Picard and the rest of the crew, you kind of go, okay, oh, this show's about friendship and loyalty.
God, you must have had such feelings when you first saw Worf as well, because you don't have that context. But I don't know if you need it in that film. It's so well written, and Jonathan Frakes did such a good job.
Yeah, 2 takes Frakes, they call him.
2 takes Frakes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's one of your good buddies now.
Oh, mate.
Just to clarify, we're not friends or anything. We just talked a few times.
Yeah, but you could be. The way you guys chat, they get very charming.
I heard him go like, "Oh, that's such a wonderful question, but oh, really good, Paul." Like, yeah, I've heard him. Don't worry.
Big sweetheart.
Yeah. It is interesting though to work out where to introduce people. So my son is 12, and we've just started watching TNG season 1. So actually, talking of the Ferengi, we watched the episode the other day with the first introduction of the Ferengi, and it's funny. We watched like Encounter at Farpoint, and then I was like, "Okay, you've seen the pilot. Shall we skip to season 2 because stuff gets better?" And he's like, "No, we've got to go." So we are going through all of season 1.
I'm a big believer in that. I think if you can't accept me at my Alamoraine, then you don't deserve me at my. You know what I mean? Like, you really need to. I'm sorry. Part of this. God, kids and their rap music. Part of the problem with TV is that you get fewer episodes and there's less, not filler, but there's less time to just sit in the story. In Tolkien, it's the moments where you're just walking and just absorbing character. I think having to actually slow down and watch the stuff that is just a bit of a regular episode of non-remarkable storytelling, that's time that the characters are soaking into your DNA so that when something big does happen, you feel it. Like you feel it in your chest. And a lot of shows feel like they have to shortcut that moment and give you those. That's why sometimes I'm watching the new Trek and I go, look, it's fine, but you haven't earned those moments of investment. I know the characters are looking at each other like they've spent years getting to know each other, but we haven't. You're fast tracking it. You're trying to get it. You're trying to cheat those moments out of us.
Well, it's a very interesting thing that we as screenwriters are being told, which is there are these 2 camps for writing now. And one of them is that you have to be very cognizant that the audience is probably dual screening and they will turn off within a couple of minutes if you don't have them. So there's this push to get the action out really, really quickly, big heartfelt moments, those sticky moments that will keep people in. But then also on the other side of things, there's this need to be constantly resetting every 7 to 8 minutes. You have to subtly reestablish the plot for that audience that had zoned out for 2 minutes because they were looking at their Instagram or their TikTok or whatever. I'm not slamming that audience. I am guilty sometimes of multi-screening while I'm meant to be watching things as well. But when you do go back to something like Star Trek, you go, yeah, it can be slow. And sometimes you're a bit confused and you're not going to have the answer that you're looking for a good half hour. And that's just what television allowed itself to do. It could meander if it needed to. It could be very experimental. It could make you wait for things. I don't know if we'd get away with that these days.
Slow's good. For any listeners on the fence, if you're going to watch the show, because just start at the start, take your time, put your phone down, and if it's a bit slow, cool. Guess what? That's what it's like being on a spaceship. Like it'll some shifts are a bit boring. Yeah, sometimes you're in stellar cartography for 12 hours and nothing happens. That's fine.
See, my thought on the whole dual screening thing is that actually what I'm more likely to miss is the visuals, but I can hear everything. So if it was more conversations, more dialogue, I could be looking at my phone scrolling, but I could be listening to that. Whereas if it's sort of something happens on screen and I'm not looking, then I've missed it. So I'm all for let's have more talking. And when I was on Trek Culture, they do like a Cargo Bay 101 where you can eject something into space. And I put the like personal transporters that they have in all the kind of 32nd century new shows, because I feel it takes away those moments, those walking down the corridors, those journeys together, because people were just popping, and I understand why they're doing it, to move on to the next scene very quickly, but you're missing great character moments because they don't have to walk together down a corridor to get to the next place. They're just poof, and they're there.
It was
so
one of the things that. Oh, sorry. Go on, Jason.
No. You go.
Since it was one of the things that jumped out at me from the new films. What's the cool young way that we're talking about the new films now? The Chris Pine ones.
By the way, they're not new. I mean, the last Kelvin Universe film was about 10 years ago.
All right, that's really upsetting for my emotions. But anyway, I can't even remember the last film.
It was Star Trek Beyond. Yeah, it was the last one. Yeah.
How it starts with Kirk with his uniforms, and it's the same uniforms hung up, and it's about highlighting the mundanity.
I'm just going to let you sit in this moment.
Yeah, great. Of their day-to-day life, that, yes, it's all exciting, but there will be stretches of time where they are just working.
It's shift work.
Shift work.
It's a job.
And I thought in that whole film, it was that moment where he's looking at his uniforms where it really hit me, and it showed me this different side to Star Trek. And you're right. It's walking down corridors without windows. And after a while, that would really get to you. You need shore leave. You need to do those things.
You know what it is? The lifts aren't working. Guess what? You're in a Jeffries tube for the whole episode, idiot. That's the plot.
It's
gosh, and it's not because the budget blew out and we needed to do a bottle episode and
but like it's Captain Picard Day, and it's Patrick Stewart in a Jeffries tube with a bunch of kids, and by the end of the episode he kind of likes them. Like, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. Anyway.
Excellent. Wonderful. And so that was the answer to the alien species we like. So that's good.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
So here's a question. This one's a bit more tailored for you, Paul, but also Tegan as well. Obviously, we've mentioned you've had the chance to interview a number of actors that play Star Trek characters. But if you had the opportunity to interview the character themselves, who would be the dream guest that you could interview?
I'm split here. I'm split between Benjamin Lafayette Sisko because he's in a really interesting place right now, I think, in the universe. Now, but also, I mean, talking to Sisko, I would say around season 5 or 6. I mean, what a beautiful human being. I mean, talking about his love of food and his love of family and his ability to punch Q in the face. I mean, just the coolest dude ever. Or Jamie Moriarty, as he appears in the holodeck. Now, obviously, in Next Gen, we only get, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 eps with Moriarty, but he's a beautiful character. He's a new life form that is birthed. He's based on the villain from Sherlock Holmes. He's charming and he's funny, and also I think at the end of that plot, he and I forget which character, they end up being basically given a world to play in where they kind of explore head out into the stars. I would love to talk with a character like that.
Is it Irene Adler?
It is Irene Adler, yes. Oh God, or Vic Fontaine. Yeah. Generally, any artificial life form that has a real appreciation for life, I think, is a good one to chat with.
Yeah. Man, the Vic Fontaine grab at the end there, that was a real curveball, but I like it. So normally, historically, I only ask 3 calibration questions. I have a little bonus question just for you, Paul. Obviously, like, Riker's beard is a thing, right? So it's an expression, Riker's beard. And there's also the whole discourse around LeVar Burton that he wanted a beard and he wasn't allowed one. My question for you is there a character that could have been improved if they'd been given a glorious mustache?
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean, Tasha Yar.
She might have survived to season 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So sad.
I actually think, okay, so here's the thing. This is an odd answer, but Sisko got better when he got a beard. So he had hair, just like, he had hair for the first season or 2. And then when he went bald and got the goatee, he looked and acted like a completely different character. And I think the facial hair improved him. So what's your answer?
Bones. McCoy with a really thick stash.
He did have a beard when he came back in the motion picture, Star Trek the motion picture. Remember, he had a full,
pretty massive beard,
like a Yukon beard.
It was good.
He should have kept that. Yeah,
should have kept that.
Yeah. Oh, Mirror Universe Spock had a moustache, like a little goatee as well.
Goatee, yeah. I'm sure. Well, DeForest Kelley played like cowboys for years, didn't he? Before going on to Star Trek, I'm sure he must have had loads of roles where he had a big kind of handlebar mustache or something playing a cowboy. So let's go find that.
Answer, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of names, by the way, we're talking about pet names. when I was younger, I compiled a list of names that I would call a son if I one day had a kid. I won't be doing that anymore, but DeForest was one of the names that was on there.
DeForest is
it's a bizarre name.
Very specific name.
Wasn't it? But I also had Agamemnon, so, let's not...
All right, no calm, normal children for you, just Empire.
Yes. Yoan was on there. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
What a name.
Yes. The thing is, Australians are famous for nicknames.
Oh yeah, we like.
So what would you do with DeForest?
Fozzie.
That's exactly what we would do.
Dezo.
We're terrible.
Defo.
Yeah. I was on a project recently where we had a lot of wonderful artists who flew in internationally to work on it, and they just couldn't get over the fact that you will be called your actual name once, and for the rest of the time that you are here, it's going to be something else. You just need to be okay with that.
Well, that's culture. You've got to learn to embrace it. And we've got 60 seconds or the podcast explodes. So I don't know who is going to do the recommendation.
Do yours.
Okay, so no, because we're doing we're all in the same minute, but the fact is Paul gazumped me. I thought that we had a great thing going with this, the Star Trek Next Generation companion, but Paul has brought something so much more interesting.
First, tell the story of where that's from.
Oh, it was from, I stole it from a project I was working on. It was this little show, and that's how we got to know each other, Jason, was through Displaced. It's a time travel show, sci-fi, so I was like, oh, wow, it's all connected.
And it's set in like around the millennium, and this is one of the props from the character's bedroom. So she yanked it and brought it over to me. And then I said to Tegan, it'd be fun to show this. And I didn't mean to kind of outdo you, but this is Stephen Barton, who did the music for Star Trek Picard Season 3. This is the original sheet music that he composed for the theme to the Titan. So that's the original. He's drawn that up. I'm not sure how well that's showing up.
But we realized it was still really great for us. We've got 14 seconds because the music of Star Trek is just as important to us. James Horner, who I first fell in love with because of his work with the Aliens franchise. But, the music is really great. Wrath of Khan, one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
Amazing.
What a mess.
I like how you just sped up at the end. You're like, this is how I'll get it all in. I'll just keep speeding up. So you're both kleptomaniacs. I've understood that. You just steal stuff if you find it around. That's what's going on. So,
yep.
I didn't. So you got to know each other on the set of Displaced, did you say?
No. So I got to know you, Jace, because Displaced brought me onto Misha's podcast.
Yes. Okay. Good. I got confused for a second because I was like, that timeline does not make sense to me. But
that's why I was like, oh, it all works because it's how we connect with you and you blah, blah, blah. But I do think that the music does feel so pertinent because...
We've connected so much over the music of Star Trek. We listen to it all the freaking time. It is playing in the house. I have a slew of Star Trek vinyl, but we also bonded very early over Star Trek. And one of the things we love is just, putting on the music, scoring. It makes driving very stressful. It does make you want to sort of time it makes roundabouts stressful because you can't perform a time traveling slingshot maneuver around a roundabout, at least you shouldn't.
And I don't think that the music of Star Trek is anyway not acknowledged. I think people get that it's magnificent, but you listen to the suite from Generations or something like that, and you just go, this is so beautiful. It's glorious. And I find that for me in particular, it can completely turn my mood around. If I'm on the way to a job or something that I don't want to do, and then you whack that in your headphones, it just lifts me.
Do you have the Klingon music playing when you're going in?
With me, I probably would.
When the Defiant shows up and you hear the Klingon suite playing, it's just, and what's funny is the Klingon suite used to be the bad guys are here. Now it's, Worf's here, you guys are screwed. And because I've talked to quite a few composers, Jason, and Leitmotif is such a big thing. And Leitmotif is basically the recognizable theme of anything. So, for example, if you think of the ba 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 in Lord of the Rings, that's the Fellowship's Leitmotif. Every character has their own theme. Star Trek is threaded with really great leitmotifs. When I became friends with Stephen, who was doing Picard Season 3, he went back into the archives and actually got to access the original sheet music of, Horner and all the other composers. and he got to work with session musicians who recorded the original scores. And so for him, the ultimate form of geeking out was just threading the recognizable themes of these ships and characters and plot beats throughout the score of Picard. And when I chatted with him about it for a piece I did for Rolling Stone Australia about video game music, because he worked on, I think he did, God, what was it? He worked on a video game, which I'm forgetting the name of. It wasn't God of War. That was Bear McCreary. Anyway, he did the Jedi Survivor. Anyway, so we ended up talking about Star Trek, and he talked me through all the specifics. But the one thing he said is anyone who's worked on the music of Star Trek, that's a career highlight for them.
Yeah, wow.
You know, and he basically says all these people are the John Williamses of the franchise, and a lot of them go unsung outside of the fandom, whereas John Williams is known,
of course,
everywhere.
Of course.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because I'm like not a music. I don't listen to music, which annoys people. Which annoys people, including my family. That all of my kids, sorry, both my kids sing nonstop. Like they love music, they love singing. My wife is very musical as well. She's always singing. So like they're always listening to music all the time. I'm very much an audiobook or a podcast kind of person, and I like stories. I like hearing things like that. To the point that I feel sometimes like, I don't appreciate music. But to your point, like all these motifs, I realize I do pick it up on like a subliminal level, because it does. Certain characters arrive, you hear them, or it's when you hear them before you see them, right? So like the music comes in and you're like, oh, I know what's about to happen here. And it's maybe just a split second, but so I'm like, I do. It's like it's one of the things I guess where it's obviously affecting me, but because I'm not a music person, I don't realize how much goes into that.
Yeah.
And I guess in life there's many things where we're like, stuff just works, just happens, and we don't think about how much, I mean, we've talked about technology, like how much goes into some of the technology we use, and we're just like, you just press a button, right, and it just does the thing. But how does that happen? And I guess for me, music's a little bit like that. It's kind of, I understand it's doing something to me, but I'm not but it's not a podcast. That's my problem.
It's interesting. I wonder if there is a certain portion of the population, and I don't want to throw the number out there because I have forgotten the exact percentage,
who don't like coriander. I know
who don't like coriander and who aren't emotionally moved by music. It's a thing. It's an actual thing. You might be in that category. But I am very, to the extent that if I'm working, I have to be really careful if I can hear music, because it will completely change my emotional state. But I do love it when it comes to things like film and television. You take a film like Back to the Future, for example, which was actually a really low budget film for the time. They were not able to get what they wanted. So the director, whose name has just gone from my
Robert
head,
Zemeckis,
thank you very much, came in and went, we need the music to be huge. And when you then reflect on the music of Back to the Future,
Alan Silvestri, it's huge.
Like it's massive music.
It is the film.
It makes it sound expensive and vast.
That's true, though. It does make it sound, because they said that. What's that comment from Hitchhiker's Guide? The spaceship's looking expensive because of all the shiny buttons and whatnot. I think an orchestra makes a show sound, or a film sound, phenomenally expensive. And it's not just that orchestras are old worldy and considered sort of highfalutin. It's that it is the sound of something bigger than
gravitas. It's in your body.
It's scale.
It's scale.
It's space. It's like, which is why sometimes in the new shows you hear synthy music and they go, no, we need a string section.
The strings, exactly. Well, it's funny because you mentioned video games. And like, I can't play video games like on mute, like that I just can't do it. I need and I've always thought, I need like the ambient noise, but maybe it's not that at all. It's probably that I need the music, and I don't. Again, it's it's affecting me, but I'm just not aware of it in the same way. But I know a lot of people, they do love the music of Star Trek, and like you, they listen to. So I'm intrigued by this. So you like listening to it in the car and stuff. So do you have? Was this like a Spotify playlist? Have you got old sort of CDs or something that you've collected over the years? Do you know what a CD is?
A lot of mediums. I mean, you've got a couple of gorgeous LPs.
Yeah, I got a couple of kind of weird Japanese pressings of like different scores. We got Wrath of Khan and a few of the other original scores, but also we generally fall back on First Contact. Generally, that's our kind of go-to.
Or Wrath of Khan.
Or Wrath of Khan. So it's those two. Or the motion picture has an extended suite at the start when they re-released it. There's that long crawl of the Starfield, and it's just for like 5 minutes. It's like you go to the ballet and the orchestra just plays a sort of medley.
The medley of the Calvin universe, Giacomo?
Michael Giacchino.
Yeah,
Giacchino.
Yeah. His medley is exquisite in the way that he brings in the kitsch nature of the original series into then this whopping modern take. It's very impressive.
Yeah, and I would implore people to listen to Stephen Barton's Titan Suite. It's so pretty. It's great because he basically got to invent the leitmotif for a ship. And they wanted to make a new series that followed the crew of that ship, and that was going to be the theme song. But yeah, there's always good music coming out of Star Trek. And if you're ever wanting to sit down and play a Star Trek board game and you put the music on, it just changes. We did a Star Trek kind of escape room-ish thing called Star Trek Cryptic, where you're kind of going through and solving problems. It really upped the stakes. It created a little of stress that was not there beforehand.
Wow. Like if you want to play a relaxing board game and increase the level of stress, like, here you go.
Yeah.
Okay. That is interesting. I'm so impressed with like Paul, the way you just pull out names and facts from this is, I'm very envious of that skill.
It's my my brain is very bad at pulling up important facts and very good at pulling up, like at one point I knew how many episodes Morn was in, which is not helpful.
That's upsetting.
Not helpful information at all. But no, it just means that my brain latches onto stuff I like, which means naturally Star Trek is a big place for us. Star Trek's a big part of our relationship. One of the first things that Tegan got me when we were sort of courting, she went to New York. Courting.
We're going steady.
Yeah. But what did you bring me back from New York again?
I brought you a Next Generation Pez dispenser set.
Yes.
It was really good. It was really expensive.
It's the entire crew.
Yeah.
It's the entire crew.
It's really fantastic. But you know what? I was traveling and I was really young. This was very early 20s. No, smidge mid-20s. But, you just don't have any money when you travel as an Australian because you've already blown everything on the flights because it's on the other side of the world. And then the exchange rate always means that you're working at a 50% deficit. But I knew I liked this guy, so I forked out and got this special limited edition collection, and you've still got it.
It's so good. So it's the whole crew, and then the final Pez dispenser is the Enterprise.
That's right.
Not to scale, obviously. That wouldn't make sense.
That's some big Pez.
It's a massive Pez dispenser.
Torpedoes in your face.
Yeah.
Oh, that is good. Well done. And look at the result. Here he is.
He's saying.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, we didn't stay together because she bribed me with Pez, although it's a good thing to do. No, I think, storytelling is one of the things we really bond over. And I think Star Trek is all about story and it's all about character. And it's a very optimistic show.
It's optimistic.
It's kind of what, look, honestly, in the year of our Lord 2026, it's kind of what we need.
That's why I struggled with that first Picard season because it lacked the optimism, in my opinion.
But God, that third one is so sunny and magical.
Yeah. I mean, trying to get my son to watch it initially, and I think so. The first episode I showed him was Measure of a Man, which is one of my favorite episodes, but more so because he was a bit like, I don't want to watch Star Trek. It's all just like lasers and shooting and lasers and stuff. And I was like, you've got the wrong show. That's not Star Trek. And so I was like, let's watch this episode that is just talking. It's a courtroom scene and I mean, I could go on, people that listen to this show will know that I go on about this episode all the time because I think not only is like the whole, how do we quantify what data is, but the fact that Riker is the one that has to kind of be the prosecution and he's put into that position, but he also has to do a really good job. And then even at the very end, when they kind of have that moment together where he's, I almost won. And it's like, well, you had to do that. That was how you saved me. It's such a beautiful episode, but it's like, it's all talking and it's all character, it's all story, and there's no lasers being shot anywhere. And it's like, yes, that's what I love.
The lasers of truth being shot at the heart of it's great. You're right. That's a great episode. And you mentioned the names of these things, and I'm like, oh, that's a whole episode. We could just like rail on about how amazing that episode is.
I'm happy to have some ship-to-ship combat. That's great as well. And we've mentioned the Borg and things like that. So that's all. It all has its place. But yeah, it's got to be. It's like that complete universe, isn't it? So there's not conflict 24 hours a day. It's impossible. So it's when it shows up, how it's measured, and that. I think looping back to your thing about the music and the scores and that and the Titan, like that's a really interesting one because fans of Star Trek know about the Titan because there's been a series of books of it, and it was Riker's ship, and there's all of this extra content around this ship. But because it's never been on screen, it didn't have music. So it's like a really weird, whereas everything else is kind of introduced. We don't know this. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what this thing is. And then they turn up and it's like, well, you've got the visuals, you've got the music, you've got what they look like, what they sound like, and how they behave. It's all there immediately. And it's quite weird to have it. There's already so much around this ship and this crew. And even though it's now, it's got a different captain and it's in the future, whatever, it's interesting to have that chance to add an element to it. I mean, like, okay, I'm going to add the music, and that's going to be something that no one will have had because it's never appeared in book form. The music, unless I don't know, there's some sheet music in the back of one of the books, maybe, and people can knock it out themselves. Perhaps that's there. I don't know. Yes, but also the other thing you've mentioned is the optimism, and oh boy, that's my biggest gripe, I guess, at the moment with a lot of modern Trek is, I miss the, it would be nice to think that things can be really good, could be better, and like, oh look, if we just got over some of these problems, this is how great it could be, and that sort of disappeared a little bit recently, which
and I think it's important. I really think that there is a responsibility for anybody who takes on these incredible legacy programs to acknowledge some of those core values of what the show is. And I know I spoke about this with Mission Zach, but I need those things that tell me that in the future things aren't perfect. Star Trek never professes to be perfect. It doesn't say humanity is perfect, but it is better, and we have learnt, and there is growth. And I need to believe, especially in these times, that we can get better, that there is going to be a time where the penny starts dropping in some of these ways. I think that's really, really important. I think that there is a responsibility for writers and creators to honor that. That's what I believe.
Well said. Yeah.
So will you be, so at the moment, we know that they filmed season 4 and 5 of Strange New Worlds. They've wrapped filming on both of those, and they've finished filming season 2 of Academy. And there is currently no other projects, like nothing's been greenlit. There's nothing being, that once those shows come out, at the moment, that's it, right? There's nothing else there. So, Tegan, you've got time to write a treatment, present something, like,
I'm going to get developing. Yeah.
Pitch a project. And, and then
the
we're all
levels
back.
That would be a dream. I mean, I don't even think about those sorts of things. We've written something together which comes out at the end of this year. I'm really hoping people like it. But the idea of one day being that writer that gets dragged onto a project that you have that connection to, I can't even imagine. There are projects that we talk about like that, like what it would be like to write dialogue between a Mulder and a Scully or something like that.
Yeah,
or it's beyond.
It'd be fun to get.
I mean, you've written a Doctor Who, a story that is canon.
Yeah, I've written some canon Doctor Who for Big Finish, and that was fun. But also, people can come along and change it later on. I mean, you create Captain Kirk, and a couple of decades later, he's being crushed under a bridge by some other writer, some other ungrateful writer. I think
I still will fight for that ending to some degree.
Listen,
shatters me every time.
Tegan and I have actually come up with a few ways to fix the film, and I'm cognizant of time, but I want to just run this by you. So we've come up with a couple of really simple ways to, I think, fix Generations.
Okay.
One is that when they crash land on the planet and you see the Nexus ribbon coming, we think that you need a shot of the population centers of the planet
You need to up the stakes.
Watching on as they're about to get annihilated so that Kirk's sacrifice actually it's like a mathematical equation. His death saves all these people. And
you need to understand the stakes of what he's doing.
Yes, absolutely. But also Shatner himself said that he said that was him stepping through the threshold and seeing
actually get work. I can't
what's
stand
next.
That they killed him. But...
So that's Kirk actually stepping over this like doorway into the afterlife, whatever he's about to step into, and seeing the enormity of it and going, oh my. And that's a statement of, wow, I'm about to do this next thing, as opposed to good night.
I don't mind that it's his interpretation and it's left for the viewers, but I think the only other problem is that the Nexus needed to be the mechanics of the Nexus needed to be tweaked, in that if you can just go to the Nexus and pull yourself out at whatever time you want, why didn't they go back to when Soren was a kid? Why didn't they go back to when Soren was first plotting this stuff?
Oh yeah.
You need to establish that the Nexus it's going to spit you out wherever. So if you go in, you don't know where you're going to come out, which justifies why they're in this do or die time pressure scenario.
Yeah.
Without that, it's like, well, why did you go there?
Why didn't you bring a phaser? Wait, did they bring phasers? Also,
yeah, they have a phaser.
Yeah,
they have lasers.
Also, we my friends and I were discussing the idea that the Nexus ribbon actually gives everyone the same paradise vision, so everyone gets the horse and the cabin. So imagine a Klingon being like, I don't like the Klingon eats the horse and burns the cabin down.
Who is it there? Is it not Renee? What's her name? The girl, his wife?
I forget her name.
I forget her damn name.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Nexus
point. There's going to be listeners that are like, you idiot.
Screaming. But yeah, that's how we would tweak Generations.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not, I was expecting a much bigger overhaul when you were like, oh, we thought of how we're going to fix it. And I was like, okay, first of all, no Nexus. I was like, okay, right. Where are we going with this? But no, that does make sense. Again, I think one of the beautiful things about Star Trek is how it feels like such a lived-in universe. It's a real, it's and it feels so big and yes, there are stakes, and you turn up to planets, and while there's something going on at the kind of seat of government of that planet, you can also see market stalls and other people doing things and just getting on with their life, and it just feels so real. And I'd said my big gripe was the lack of optimism. My other issue with a lot of modern Trek is that I felt like you kind of didn't have that, because everybody was interconnected so personally, like with every problem it was like, oh, it's my cousin, my uncle, my nephew, and you're like, oh, hold on a second, like space is meant to be pretty big, right? Like how is and I'm I'm like and I'm sure I've used this before on this show, but I'm like, I like Columbo, I don't like Murder, She Wrote. Like, I like the idea that he's there because it's his job. Like, somebody died and you called a homicide detective. That makes sense. Not wherever she goes, it just so happens somebody dies nearby. Like, that's suspicious.
Yeah, Jessica Fletcher is a harbinger of death. I completely agree.
And I like the idea that, you're on a starship, it's your job. So you turn up at this planet and there's a big problem on this planet, and it's not because of who you are. It's because it's your job to go and deliver grain to this colony, and at this colony, something's happening, and you need to investigate and get involved. So that's I just think, and to your point of like, the Nexus is hitting this planet, and there's 3 people on the planet, apparently. Oh no, actually, it's a planet. Like there should be more going on, and then you would be like, oh, actually, it makes sense that he needs to stop this. But
I think so.
And we've got to stop blowing up planets. That's the other thing. That's I can't. We lost Romulus. Then J.J. Abrams blew up Vulcan, and now we found out that Kronos is gone as well. Like, I can't. Come on, please. Let's
leave some.
Let's save some planets. People need some.
We have to run very soon. I also feel that it's getting to the point where you guys are going to have a love fest, because Paul's writing a book about Columbo, and I can just feel the point where I just need to back away.
Yeah, just let
this
happen.
Let you guys do what you've got to do. But it's been so nice.
It's been so nice talking to a like-minded Trek fan. I don't think Trekkie's the word anymore. I think it's just sort of a
Incoming transmission.
So I normally do a little thing called incoming transmissions. I wasn't going to do it because I was conscious of time, but I will mention one message that showed up today. I was at a Comic-Con and I was doing kind of interviews on the floor. And I interviewed this girl and I said to her, she's wearing a Star Trek uniforms. I was like, oh, clearly you're a Trekkie. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite captain? What's your mini Trekommendation? And she recommended the brand of clothing she was wearing. And one person commented on the video, Trekker, but yeah, good choice for the captain. And it's like, guys.
Oh, a trekker? I would say that somebody who journeys across land by foot
this
is a
my
trekker.
issue. I think it's I think it's like an American English thing a little bit as well. That they go trekker, but like growing up, it was always Trekkie for me, and it's just that one of those default words in my brain.
I'm not offended.
I also say fan of Star Trek as well.
Yes. A connoisseur of the Trek. Yes, absolutely.
A connoisseur of the Trek. Well, that will be the new one. Let's write that down.
Excellent.
Copyright Paul. Okay. Paul, Tegan, where can people? We've mentioned so many of the projects you've got going on. Where is the best place if people have like listened to them and like, hold on, these people know some very interesting people and seem to be involved in some very interesting things. How can they follow you, find you, find out these different projects that you're working on?
I think the best place to find us both is on Instagram, probably.
Yeah.
I've just started a TikTok. I have one follower. Help. But no, I'm Tegan Higginbotham, TeganHigginbotham. I wanted all the letters. And you're Paul Verhoeven, or are you Paul F. Verhoeven?
It's Paul Verhoeven. It's Paul Verhoeven.
Look, we have to spell it.
Stupid names. Yeah, so on Insta you can see all that stuff. Tegan's new series Displaced is on YouTube right now. It's streaming. All 6 episodes. It's a great series. Really, really wonderful. And you can catch up on any interviews I've done with people, Trek or not, on my link tree, which is in the bio on my Instagram. So that's where everything is.
There we go. Wonderful. You clearly professionals. You've done that before. You've plugged before. I can tell.
Oh, yes.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Of course, I will be back next week with another guest and another Trekommendation.
Ending program.